560-KKTX. Now, I brought something up right before the top of the hour that you wanted to respond to, Lillian. What was it? You don't remember either.
I don't remember either,
okay.
Jim. You got talking about sports.
Oh, okay.
And I was listening intently on that part.
We were talking about taking money from one place and putting it in another.
Oh, I think we were talking about, what some of what's happened in the past about the districts, maybe being competing for those dollars, and one district saying, no, I want this, and taking from others. But one of the slides that we're going to look at and to have a talk about is some allocating a certain amount of money per district, and it looks like $2.5 million in each of the 5 districts. And this is on the neighborhood improvement piece that we've been talking about some tonight. I can see your facial expressions. Unfortunately, your listeners, your listeners can't. So, I think that there is some recognition on this council of how can we try to address allocating funds across all the districts.
All right, and Councilwoman McIntyre brought up a quote from our friend McCutcheon, Dr. McCutcheon, when he addressed this.
Right. When he was on council at one point in time and they were adopting the budget, he got very frustrated at one point and said, I can't get grief from all of District 4 saying you're not doing enough for me, and at the same time take grief from another district saying everything's going to District 4, because that's not absolutely the case. And people just notice what they see, and they don't actually look at dollars and at the actual facts of the matter. And that's why if we can set up a system by design with a little bit more formulaic, we can take a little of that out of there. That's the hope.
And they're not paying attention to some of that work that's being done in that area is being done by TxDOT.
Right.
It's a state road.
You're right.
And people don't. That's why I'm telling you.
Understand some of the distinction between the city and TxDOT and some of the other partners. You're right, Jim.
Ennis Jocelyn, Park Road 22, all of that was done by TxDOT,
right.
and they have a substantial maintenance program.
Brought those streets up when she was talking about the city. And if you're working for the city and being on council and don't know, then I think it's time for the city, especially road workers, to wear a very particular color. And you get TxDOT to agree. But TxDOT, they come out ahead because if you're confusing the city and TxDOT workers, there's nobody to call with TxDOT. You can't make somebody accountable for that. But if they all wore pink or yellow or green, then you would know. And if the city workers just come up with a color.
Yeah. The color's a great idea, but there is actually some accountability. When we had the traffic backed up all the way to the Oso Bridge during the TxDOT reconstruction on Park Road 22 the first weekend, I tell you, TxDOT heard right away. When I was getting phone calls, and Lillian and David and Mark, we were all getting phone calls. TxDOT got some calls, and Chairman Hunter called a meeting, and we set up some things to work. And then the gentleman the company that's doing the McCardle construction, Raytech, guy gave me his card, said, call me if there's any complaints.
Okay, but the city got excoriated on caller.com.
Absolutely. And it's not ours.
No.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
So it just...
There needs to be a better understanding of which, who
well, you can tell them
who owns what.
And it would help if...
Colleen's right.
There you go.
Different color street signs.
We don't have street signs, and I need them.
Let's stripe them a different color. Okay. All
right. Now then, you wanted to thank the police chief for
Yes,
something.
I'm so happy to be in the box with you, Chief, because you guys have set up a police substation down over at Zahn Road and 361.
Yep.
And the residents, the visitors, everyone that's coming out to the island is really happy to have that place out there where we know that there is a police presence on the island, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we certainly concur with your assessment and believe that we ought to have a physical presence on the island. We've got one there because of some great partnerships with private entities. It opened May 19th, and we'll run it through Labor Day. So we're trying something new that we hope will lead to something permanent. A lot of people don't know we're there. And so we're trying to encourage people to stop by because I'm keeping a logbook of traffic, and that's going to tell us, I think, it's going to give us a pretty good indication whether or not we need to consider something permanently. What I'm going to do real quick is we'll have a series of events out there that will cause people to come and visit, Operation ID, where we etch property. In the event we recover it, we can get it back to you. We talked about some safety seat installations and just different things that we can have events at the substation so that we can attract the public. So it's going well. We've got volunteers manning that thing, and we've got a couple officers assigned out there.
And if someone on the beach or in their home or whatever has a minor crime to report, they can drop in there and
they
do that
can drop
report.
in there and access police services. And we're in conversations with people like permitting. You may be able to go in there and get a permit. So we're trying to improve the services out of it.
Fix your sidewalk.
Yeah, if it fixes
permit.
our,
That would
yeah.
be really nice.
A permit for just about anything?
Park Road 22 at Zahn Road.
Yes.
People need to remember that.
Look for the signs. It's kind of tucked away, but look for the signs.
All right, more of that coming up. Plus, call from Jack on the way. News Radio 1360 KKTX. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. City Councilwoman Colleen McIntyre and Lillian Riojas on the KKTX hotline. Jack, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the morning. Hey.
Wanted to ask you and particularly Chief Simpson, if y'all have any ideas regarding the homeless problem, an alternative solution to the way we're doing it now to feed them on weekends when the facilities that feed them during the week for the most part are not open.
Why do we have to worry about that? I'm just curious. Jack?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why is that my job or the city's job or somebody else's job?
I don't think it's anyone's job, but I think...
No, you must, because you're wondering why we can't get them fed on the weekends.
Well, let me put it this way. The reality is the homeless are not going to go away, and they're going to continue for some period of time to look for places to be fed. And so I see that maybe there's a transitional or a temporary solution.
There's never a temporary solution.
Okay.
When you make it easier for people to come up with an excuse for crap happening in their lives, it never goes away. It only gets bigger.
Okay.
And 2 weeks ago, we had a church with all the good intentions in the world of coming out, gathering the homeless in a parking lot, and feeding them. And they did that. And you know what everybody did with their garbage? They unwrapped it, and they threw it on the ground, and they threw drink cartons around, and it looked like a mess.
Yeah.
A garbage dump. Now, who do you think that they thought enough of the people who gave them the food to maybe put their garbage in a trash can? No, they didn't. So you tell me, are we creating a bigger problem?
In that sense, we are.
In every sense, we are. Anytime you make it easier for someone not to face their own responsibilities, you are making the problem worse.
Yeah, and our problem is growing. We had a point in time count, and we see that we have more numbers than we had at the last point in time count. But to directly answer your question, I know Jim has his thoughts, but we are looking at ways to lessen the impact of these of some of the homeless community that have become problematic to the rest of us. We're also looking at ways to prevent homelessness. And so we had a summit last week where we convened a lot of people who have a vested interest in that community. And it's a starting point. So we're trying to set a vision to see where we can end up. And I agree with Jim to an extent in that we ought to not be just feeding people just because it makes us feel good, because that also becomes problematic. But I can also tell you from a strictly dollars and cents perspective, if you look at homelessness, they access medical services like you wouldn't believe. They access city services like you wouldn't believe. And even if from a dollars and cents perspective, we're going to have to figure out a better way to deal with them. And if that means giving those people who don't want to engage and get better a bus ticket out of town, then we ought to do that. And I don't make any apologies for that.
And directly relating to that feeding also, all of the shelters that close on the weekend have also offered their kitchen availability to groups that want to come in and feed the homeless. And then they get it in a kitchen that's clean with restroom facilities and hand washing facilities and trash cans. Absolutely. And all of these things. And all of them have said, if you want to come feed the homeless, feel free. Come use our kitchen and we'll open it up for you.
It does no good.
Your question, Jack.
It does no good just to feed them.
They have the opportunity. They can go in and use the kitchen. But we prefer to wrap it in plastic and hand out a little carton of milk so you can throw it on the ground and make more work for somebody else.
What I was leading up to, Jim, and I agree that there is a problem, and I agree with everything you said. To me, the solution that Colleen brought up is, I'm familiar with a couple of groups that do feed on weekends, right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And to me, if they use existing facilities and don't give it out in the parking lots, and you have to come to those facilities that they feed at during the week, that, again, to me is maybe not a long-term solution. But, and again, I know there has to be a long-term solution, but just a stopgap measure for the interim until we can see, create the vision and whatever. It's just a way of maybe shifting responsibility and putting in a facility that can be governed better out of the parking lot.
Yeah. The other key point is that we need the groups that are doing the feeding to take up these other groups on their invitation to go and use their kitchen. Right. Because I have heard repeatedly that these groups who have kitchens have extended the invite to the feeding groups, and even they did it publicly at council a couple weeks ago. So that, I think, the community can encourage the feeding groups to go and take the groups up on their invitation.
Yes.
Well, I think what we need is a tough-mindedness like Chief Simpson has given to, and the offer of help to the prostitutes of whom there have been, based on what I heard from him last week, at this point at least about a 70% success rate. So maybe some of that same thought can go into the homeless problem for those that do want help to see that they get the help and all that.
Yeah, and that's still a working program. We've got ladies that have been engaged since November. And I'm pretty pleased. I mean, we've got some pretty good partnerships with, like I keep mentioning Delmar, and we're getting them trained to do things and become valuable members of the community. I just can't give up on certain segments of the community.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your forthrightness and y'all's open mind, and know we have a problem that is a reality and trying to come up with some long-term solutions.
Thanks, Jack. 560-5589, 560 KKTX. News Radio 1360 KKTX. All right, it's Chief Simpson in the box. That news that I saw Sunday night, I guess, man and woman, they didn't know if they were married, died trying to save the daughter's life.
Was that in the drowning?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad, right?
That was horrible.
Yeah.
What? It's a microphone. You have to speak into it.
Sorry, I was doing some reading as I was listening.
Yes.
No, we were talking about the tragedy at the lake, right?
Yes, Lake Corpus Christi.
What a tragedy.
The couple had 2 kids out, 7-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl. Yep. The girl, they think, fell in the water. That's according to Sheriff Leroy Moody. That's
what I heard. I was with somebody yesterday that sounded like they had some insight into it, that the little girl fell in the water, and so one of the adults, the female, jumped in to help save her. And as I understand it, the water was running pretty rough there, and she got caught up, and
neither one of them had on a life preserver.
The adults didn't. The kids did, but the adults didn't, and so both the adults jumped in to help the little girl. Oh, yeah, what a tragedy!
I think we had several drownings
this weekend.
Yeah, I think the number I have in my head is 4.
Oh, wow!
And that's always a issue when this time of year rolls around, and we need those life jackets on whenever you go in the water, because it at least gives you a chance and gives somebody a chance to rescue you.
And you need to remember that operating a boat or a jet ski or swimming and alcohol don't match any more than driving a car.
It's instead of DWI, it's BWI, and you'll be jailed and same.
And the heat
issues.
makes it that much worse.
Yes, and so we always give those warnings, and some people heed them, but it seems like every summer we'll have these deaths. So,
all right, I appreciate Jack's phone call about can't we do something. But we're getting into trouble.
Yeah.
I get emails about have you no heart, have you no compassion, yada, 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 yada. I have as much compassion as anyone else if you show me that you are willing to do what it takes to change your particular set of circumstances. I will go out of my way to give you a hand up. But my propensity for suckerdom is not very likely.
Yeah. And see, I look at it from kind of a dollar and cents perspective. I was watching this program on, I think it was 60 Minutes, this past weekend, and it dealt with this issue. And people think that it's kind of charity work and, us helping them out. But in actuality, the questions that they were asking some of the homeless was things like, how many times have you gone to the emergency room this year? And some of the responses were, 10, 12, and all of that costs you and I money. And then when the thing when you walk by a homeless person, just think dollars and cents. It's often cheaper for us to pay the rent for those people than it is for us to continue to do things like we're doing and continue the drain on the tax dollar that they're causing us to have to float. And so even just from a common, dollars and cents perspective, it pays us to do something with that chronically homeless population. And like you said, it's cheaper to put them in an apartment than it is to continue to pay the public dollars that we pay to provide them services.
All right. What apartment? I mean,
that's our issue here.
That's what your suggestion is.
Yeah, this was based out of some Midwestern city, I believe, but at any rate, they didn't have the housing problem that we have.
Hold on just a second. Who is it? All right, just a second. Are you waiting on me to get done?
No, I just said, we put some Freon in it, and you're all good.
Oh, we're all good?
Yes, sir.
This is Joey. You remember the guy I was telling you about that I didn't recognize? Get on this one right here.
How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you again, man. So he comes to my house, and I said, how long have you been working for Dave? He said, I just started a couple months ago. I said, how do you like it? He said, best move I ever made.
Oh, this is that guy.
Didn't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you told me you work for somebody else, and what?
It's still working, right? Your air conditioner?
Oh, yeah.
I went over there.
Yeah, that's right. You did that. You did a great job.
If you need me to.
And you said you were a little bit worried about the move because you'd been doing it someplace else. He said, but then you told me, he said, man, you talk about training. There's nothing like getting on a job and you got a problem and you got 2 or 3 of the other guys online all at once, and everybody is giving their 2 cents while they're on their job, and you're helping them with theirs.
We run 8 guys, so it's a lot of training. Everybody helps each other, and we get things fixed.
So what time did you get the call this morning?
6:15.
There you go.
I was still sleeping.
Oh, you were? Well, you're just on call, right?
Yeah, we're on call. I worked till about 11:30 last night, so.
So he got here in about 30, 35 minutes. That's pretty good.
You guys have people on call?
Yeah.
Yeah, we run.
Wow.
We
And
run
here's the thing.
24/7.
Corpus Christi, yeah.
I mean, for overtime, of course. But
Don't mention OT to me. I just had that story.
My most important appliance, your air conditioner.
That's
Yeah.
right. And people forget to maintain them. It runs.
So how long has
24/7.
it been? It's been over a year, hasn't it? Has it been 2 years since we had the talk and you were telling me?
It's been about a year and a half.
Well,
Probably.
because I called Dave that day and I thought, did he say I called?
Yeah, he talked to me.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and you had no idea that I did commercial for you.
No. And then I ran into a few people, and in my work shirt, and they're like, "Hey, you're Joey Chapman." I was like, "Yeah." How do you know me? I heard about you on the radio. I'm like, I didn't know nothing about that.
Well, that's what you get for having a boss like Dave, having a reputation like his company's got, and most important, you guys buying into what Dave wants to do.
Oh, yeah. He's a great boss.
Yeah. And a long time ago, this was 15 years ago, he lost a guy that he could not keep here. The guy wanted to move to, Montana or someplace. And I think Dave said, I get these guys trained. They're really great guys. I don't have any compunction about them going into somebody's home. They do great work. I got to figure out a way to keep them.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day you told me, yeah, man, it's the best move I ever made.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a great company.
Been here almost 5 years, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. As long as Dave keeps me.
Well, where did you train?
I went to Del Mar.
You did?
I went to Del Mar for 2 years. Yeah, and got certified in it. And everybody's got to have air conditioner, so it's
You're damn right.
To have.
Job security.
It really is.
Yes, sir.
It really is. It's good to see you, Joey.
Yes, sir.
I was
Good
so
to see you.
surprised when I saw you at the counter. I went, holy mackerel. I can't believe they said
Well, I
Joey.
saw on my page. I was like, man, I haven't seen him in a while. But if you see me too often, that's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
But I better get back to work.
All right.
Y'all have a good
See you, Joey.
Bye,
Thank you,
Joey.
Joey.
I called CCAC to come out and do my summer checkup. So hopefully Joey will come by. Actually, I have an appointment tomorrow morning.
You got your little notice in the mail?
I do. I like those little reminders.
I
And
do
so it helped me. We got one scheduled. So maybe Joey will come by my house.
All right, Andy, thanks for your patience, Andy. I
Sure,
appreciate
no
that very much. What can we do?
Hey, do we have a problem of other cities sending their homeless here? Are they targeting Corpus Christi specifically?
I'm told that I can't say that I know that with 100% surety, but I'm told that people have told some people that work for me, specifically my City Hall liaison officer, that they've gotten a ticket from places like San Antonio one way to Corpus Christi. So I don't know if there's urban legend or if that's actual fact.
Okay.
But if it's fact, we need to get in the game and get off the sidelines.
We also have the climate and jobs that send people, even if the city is, we have some that we think are sending by buses, but others who have just gone through a horrendous winter and they're seeing what kind of jobs we have here, and they come down thinking they'll take part in it, and they can't find a job and they can't do these things. You wouldn't typically move to a city until you had it, but we have a lot that are going the opposite direction.
Correct.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
560-5589, 560-KKPX. So along with the $881 million we need for streets, the opportunities you're going to have to share in the cost with the city and maybe even pay more taxes. The city's got a bond idea. CCISD's got a bond idea. Del Mar College has got a bond idea. The taxing never stops. Why? Well, because, I'm not sure. But an additional gas tax, pay more for registration, have that go to roads and bridges. Henry Garrett had what I thought was a pretty good idea. When we retired the Ingleside base bond, it was like 2 cents.
Yeah.
He said, why don't we just keep paying that since we're already paying it and put it in a dedicated fund for road repair? Now, Henry was really on a one-man campaign almost to fix some of the roadways. Yeah, it's gone on that long. But he got Memorial Coliseum hung around his neck by a guy that I think that was his last accomplishment. And when Henry brought that up, you would have thought he said, let's kill all the stray cats, because people were outraged. And now look where we are. It would seem to me it would be a lot cheaper for us to have us to have kept paying that 2 cents back when he suggested it maybe 8 years ago now or longer, at least we'd have something to work with.
Right. $881 million. It took about 27 years of decreasing maintenance to get us there.
Yeah, decreasing maintenance. Why? Because streets don't vote. Well, by gosh, they're learning, aren't they? News Radio 1360 KKTX. I'm putting the Chief's daughter Journey to sleep this morning. I'm trying to be more entertaining, but I'm not achieving my goal.
You can shoot fireworks off and she'll sleep.
Let me get to another caller. Victoria, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning. My comment is directed toward the chief. I know it's late in the year, but I tried, and I didn't know how else to get through to you. This morning, it just hit me.
Okay.
Oh. So, at Christmas, before Christmas, an officer came by my house and took me and my grandson's name. He's 14. I've had him for 12 years. And we've had it rough, and we lived in a bad neighborhood. And at Christmas, the police department, and I want to tell everybody, God is so good, and the police department, that they brought in 6 banana boxes of food for me and that boy. And I can't say how much I appreciated that, because we have gotten that, believe it or not, that helped me out so much that now we are living in a safe environment. We have a nicer place. The boys going to summer church camp. I mean, it's just wonderful. It's just how one little push like that can help you.
Thank you for calling.
You didn't get food from the food bank?
No. I didn't know.
Because what?
I didn't know that was available for us. I thought it was just for the homeless people.
So you don't know what options are available to you and your grandson?
Oh, I found out about the food bank. After that, somebody gave me a list of them, and I found out about them if we ever need that again. But I'm
kind of curious here. If you're having a hard time, why you wouldn't explore some of the options that are made available to you by the city and other faith-based organizations, and you just stayed home until a policeman showed up?
Yeah. Well, I'm 64, and I got 4 major disabilities, and we don't own a car, and it's kind of hard to get around. And I went once, a long time ago, to the Corpus Christi food bank up on Navigation, and I never got home because I couldn't carry everything.
Did the officers connect you with social services as they were bringing the food?
No, we connected ourselves with them.
Okay,
I connected her. Yeah, after when we were moving.
Okay,
so
very good.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate it. As if to make my point.
Yeah.
Ron, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Hey, I have a question for Chief Simpson. How you doing, Chief?
Good morning, sir.
A couple of weeks ago, you had a caller that asked about an incident that occurred where some police cars got rammed. And long story short, you gave an honest opinion saying that the department needed 50 more officers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
So my question is, how does your Corpus Christi Police Department relate or equal out to the number of officers that the other larger cities in Texas have, with Dallas, where you're from, San Antonio, etc.?
Well, we have fewer per 1,000, so we're about 1.2 or 3 per 1,000 residents. The state is about 2.5, and the country is about 3. So that's one way to look at it, but we also look at it based on years of data that we call workload. And workload is the time it takes to write reports, travel a particular part of the city, get gas, all of the things that police officers do during the day. Either way you slice it, we probably need 25 to 50 officers. And that's kind of been what I've been saying for the longest now. We need to do that in a very measured way, because I would not be successful if the council and the manager said, okay, Chief, here's 50 officers today. we need to do that in a methodical way, and it'll probably take 3 to 5 years to get there. That's the best way that I know of in growing the department. When I was in Dallas, that's how I did it. I was responsible for hiring 400 a year for about 5 years, and we had to do that very slowly, because if you don't do it that way, you're going to make hiring and training mistakes. And so the fact of the matter is, and I think the council knows, I think the manager knows, we're short. The challenge is how do you methodically grow the department in line with the way that the city's growing, so that we can continue to, do better in proactive policing, because we do very well in catching people, but we do, in my professional opinion, a poor job of proactive policing, which is where I want to be.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
I don't know where this hour, frankly, since all of a sudden 7 o'clock, and
yeah, did you
councilwomen walked in, and now it's over.
Did you see the Channel 6 news story about overtime?
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with staffing levels, but a lot of that, particularly with the police department, has to do with, we go out and we seek federal and state grants. The council hears me probably every week going,
right.
I need permission to, take this grant and that grant, and all of that is money that I encourage our officers to go out and work, because it's interdiction on 44 and 77, it's overtime for DWI, it's overtime for this and overtime for that. And so we participated in that story yesterday. I was wondering if you saw that, but some of that has to do, too, with staffing issues, because people don't understand when that SWAT team musters, those are beat officers that we take off of a beat. Then sometimes we have to backfill them. And so...
Well, here
it's just what happened.
We've tried to explain this before. Yeah. We do not have dedicated SWAT officers.
No.
When they're called, they have to give up their patrol car or their patrol area, and somebody has to be called in to take their
or moved around the city. And each one of those events, incidentally, is probably $3,500 to $5,000.
And
so
let me tell you a little bit about our SWAT team, led by
Dave Cook.
And
Bill Breela.
They win competitions against larger cities: San Antonio, Dallas, Houston.
Dallas, I love it when they beat Dallas.
Yeah, I do too. And they just beat Dallas. And here's the thing: those cities have dedicated
standalone
SWAT teams.
Standalone SWAT teams, yes.
Yeah, and all those guys do is train.
Yep.
I was watching our guys at Rifles Only. They were shooting.
They're pretty good.
Yes, they were shooting the color out of the targets. It was unbelievable. Have yourself to Bluebell Country
Thanks,
Day.
sir.